G'day traders, 1 minute mindset. Today we're talking about developing the emotional resiliency in live time for trading. One of the things that I'm sort of adamant about is that I fundamentally don't believe that you can learn by watching live trading. Number one, there's too many variables and variations, but setups themselves show up over and over again. High of day, low of day, reversals, squeezes, trend trades. First red day, first green day, high of the week, low of the week. Those are critical. Now, a trader asked about, it's a great, that I never do it live, but I could learn from watching live. Like, you can't, if you're going to be a heart surgeon, you need to watch, and if you're going to be a carpenter, you need to watch. And you're right, except that at some point, you can watch all the heart surgeries that you want, but until you get the scalpel in your hand and you know what it's like to cut flesh, you will never know how to do that. And then when you're cutting the flesh, how deep should you go? What should it feel like? What structures are beneath the flesh that you need to be aware of where you're cutting and when you're cutting? And then on top of that, depending on the type of procedure that it is it life-threatening? Or if you do make a mistake, is it the type of mistake that can cost a patient their life? You can be a carpenter and you can learn how to build a frame or frame something or do forms or build something, but until you get the nail gun in your hand or the saw, you're going to make some cuts. They're not going to join properly. You're not going to have the right angles. The first few cuts you make are going to be a mess. But when you do that over and over and over again, all of a sudden your skill for making it in real time is going to improve. Your angles are going to improve. You're going to know how to put the nail gun in place, how deep it should go, whether it's screws, nails, glue. But then when you build the bigger structure, is it going to fall apart or is it actually built to last? So trading is all great and dandy if you want to watch. The interesting thing is there's plenty of live trading channels out there. But so the question is then why isn't everybody making a lot of money watching these live channels? Partly because number one, they're probably not making their 50-50, their results, and they're trading things that aren't scalable in size. So scalability is critical because it's one thing getting the direction right, but it's also another thing being in a setup where and when you can add size. And what I love about this is I get traders messaging me and sometimes I get a few nasty emails and all that, which I could, it doesn't, as one trader asked today, it doesn't mean to insult me. It's not an insult. It doesn't affect me whatsoever. But traders who really want to become successful, if you really want to become successful, you'll never ever be able to do that at a sizable level until you develop the emotional resiliency and the unconscious competence of executing all of these things without thinking, because every single aspect becomes secondary. It's ingrained into your nervous system. The timing, the levels, the behavior of price. There are so many little subtleties. But when you have all that connected unconsciously and you're able to execute in live time, you know, number one, whether you have a setup or not. Number two, you know when you don't have a setup. And number three, when you have a setup, you know when you can accelerate into that. So, coming back to, I don't just go in with one massive lot into one trade. I'm always scaling in, always. It's always scaling in. Starter position, adding in size, and knowing when and what setups I'm going to have size on and how much, so that I can scale in with the size into my full position. And then knowing when I'm going to take some out, when I'm going to lock it in at break even, when I'm going to hold on for the maximum amount of that trade. So all of these things can't be developed by watching. You can learn. Like if I said to you today on a setup in live time, it's a 3rd-hour trade setup based on how the first hour and the setup of the instrument itself and the session that it's trading in. If I said to you it's a 3rd-hour trade at this level, that doesn't help you. That doesn't help you at all. All that does is give you a signal for you to piggyback on. You need to understand why that setup could be a 3rd-hour trade at that level. You need to understand that in that particular instrument on that day, in that session, day 1, day 2, day 3, whatever it is. So it's not going to be the same tomorrow. And you're going to say, well, let's watch it again live tomorrow, except that you still haven't learned how to have that process for yourself to identify a setup in the session that you're trading. So that's critical. And again, I know I repeat this over and over again, but I don't care how many live trades you watch. You will never develop the emotional resiliency or skill set to execute and grow that trading account of your own in live time with nobody holding your hand unless you do it yourself. You have to feel the pain and the pleasure of getting it right, the pain of not holding on long enough in a winning trade, the pain of getting in too early and getting stopped out and then watching it go in the right direction, or the pain of not having the patience or the setup itself and just getting in with too much size when there's no setup there and taking a massive loss. These are all the things that will go on until you peel the onion back on your own approach to the market, your process. I keep emphasizing process. That process is what allows you to go to the screen each day and say, this is the setup that I think could eventuate. And if it starts to eventuate, these are the levels when I'm going to start to attack this trade at this time. And this is where it could fail. This is where it could go to. This is where I'm going to lock in profits, or this is where I'm just going to get out and take the money and be done. All those questions can only be answered by yourself in live time. And you have to have a process to be able to go to each day to check the box. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm expecting to see. These are the instruments I'm looking at. Like, it's no secret I like to short things. Well, what do you think I look for? I don't look for stuff that's at the low of the day if I'm going to short it. If there's a low-hanging fruit trade, it needs a peak formation back into the trend for me to short that. So high of day stuff, it's really simple. I look for stuff that's at the high of the day, but I'm not looking to short a trend. So, great example today. The euro was a great high of the day setup, 3rd hour. Japanese yen's a trend trade. It's a breakout. I'm not looking to short a breakout. I'm looking to short something that's at the high of the day, revisiting that in the 2nd or 3rd hour. So, I know people don't agree with that, but here's the thing. It doesn't matter to me what you agree with. What you have to figure out is what's going to work for you. And if you keep just going to the screen looking for a directional trade, I'm going to look for something and get the direction right and get pips, you don't have a repeatable process or a repeatable setup. Once you understand that you can have a repeatable setup that you can execute over and over again, then why do you need to watch it live time? You know exactly what you're looking for. I'm looking for something at the high of the day. 1st hour makes a high and a low. I'm looking at this market to trap volume in the middle hour or towards the end of that 1st hour. And then I'm looking for the market to revisit that level and lock it in for the short trade back down to whatever, the beginning of the session, the low of London, whatever, the low of Asia, I don't know, whatever the setup is. So develop the emotional resiliency and skill set for unconscious competence in live time. Hopefully you got value from that long-winded 1-minute mindset reset, but I encourage you, peel back the onion. Don't don't go to the screen and go, well, I'm looking for a trade. What's the best setup? What is the setup? What is it that you're looking for? Not just looking for something that's way down low, so I think it's going to reverse. Have something that gives you a rinse and repeat process. I've given that in my other videos over and over and over again, and literally, even if you just look at levels, you've only got, 75 pip box. That's 3 numbers that you could execute a trade at. That's as simple as you can get. So if you're sitting there and you're still not seeing it, then you're still going there with a retail mindset and watching things move and looking to chase the move. Look at the numbers, look at the time of day, look at the high and the low. Keep it simple. Rock on. Beautiful day. Just had a great swim and a run. Keep it simple. Have a great day. May the markets go with you.